Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another reaction video to some of my preseason predictions. This time I'm reacting to a video I released nearly 5 months ago where I chose my top 10 AFL players in the competition under the precedent that I had to choose a player per position. So I couldn't just choose 10 midfielders, I couldn't just choose 9 mids and a forward. I needed one ruck, at least a defender, at least a winger, at least a mid, at least a forward. You get me. First I'm going to react to what I put, and then I'm going to change them if I need to. Starting off with the ruckman, I put Max Gawn, and I'm happy with Max Gawn. Max Gawn is the correct shout. Good prediction. And right now, if I'm talking about the general season, he has been the best ruck. Tristan Xerri has been great. Mick's been great. Nankervis has been very underrated, but Max Gawn is the best. As my winger, I put Errol Goulden, and I think that's still correct. There have been some shouts for Martin, some shouts for Dacos. Massimo D'Ambrosio for Hawthorn has been excellent. What a signing that's been. But the best winger, and I correctly predicted it, is Errol Goulden. I believe I only put this one winger in though, so we're sticking with that. Happy with that. That is a good prediction. Now moving on to the forwards. One of the forwards I put was Nick Larkey. Another forward I put was Toby Green. Charlie Curnow is another forward, which is an obvious shout, but they are the forwards that I have put. Charlie Curnow, Nick Larkey, Toby Green. Let's start with Charlie Curnow. That's still correct. He's a top 10 player. He joins Max Gawn and Errol Goulden for me in that top 10 player category in 2024. Toby Green has really let me down. He has let me down this season, as has his team in general. Maybe that's a reflection on his performance that the team's doing well, or vice versa. Maybe the team's not doing well because Toby Green is not performing as brilliantly as we once thought he would. Now, he's played 14 matches this season. His disposals for his position are ranked elite. He's ranked elite for marks, and he's ranked pretty above average for goals. He averages 1.6 goals a game, but I think the thing with Toby Green, he has been good this season, and he has still stood up in very important moments. Last minute goals, game-winning actions, but not as much as I thought, and definitely for me, not enough to warrant a top 10 position. Now, if you still ask me next year who would be a top 10 player, I would still put Toby Green, but this season he's just been a little bit too off it to warrant that top 10 position. He's averaging less disposals than his career average, less kicks, less handballs, less tackles, pretty similar amount of goals, and also less career ratings. Let's also talk about Nick Larkey. Nick Larkey has not been at the standard that I thought he would be this season, probably because North Melbourne have done him no favours in supporting him here. In terms of goals or the Coleman medal race, he is in equal 14th with the Will Haywood with 28 goals. He's under the likes of Bailey Fritsch, Josh Treacy, he's under Tyson Stengel, so he is struggling a little bit in that department. In regards to the average goals a game as well, he doesn't do too well. He's in equal 20th place. So he is struggling in that department, but can you really blame him? Look, there's definitely a chance for me that Nick Larkey is still a top 10 player in the competition, but we're just not seeing it because he can't flourish in that North Melbourne team. And as importantly, he can't flourish in that North Melbourne system perhaps. It's just not attacking enough. Where's the opportunity? Next year, if he gets some better kicks to him, some better progress on the team, he'll probably be a better player alongside it. So that's 2 wrong shouts, 3 correct shouts out of 5 so far. If I had to choose 2 forwards to possibly replace the likes of Green and Larkey, the obvious shout would be Ben King with 42 goals, second in the Coleman race, but I'm looking towards one of Jake Waterman or Jesse Hogan to be the shout. Jake Waterman in a poor Eagles side with little service, a bit like Nick Larkey, has, for me, been brilliantly phenomenal. He's only had 59 shot at goals, ranked 8th, but he is in 3rd in the Coleman race, so make of that of what you will. And for Toby Green's position, it's a bit more difficult of a sort of small medium forward. Stengel's probably been one of the outstanding small forwards. Medium forwards, does Will Haywood, Bailey Fritsch fit into that category? I'm not so sure. I think the likes of the usuals, the Papleys, the Camerons haven't been up to standard this season. Yes, he plays midfield now, but Isaac Heaney would be a choice to replace Toby Green. Heaney has to be in my top 10 players, and so why not let's just put Heaney in there for now. We already have a forward in, so just replace him for a mid forward. So that's Larkey out, Waterman in, Toby Green out, Isaac Heaney in. 5 players down, but there are still a couple players left to go. As a defender, I had Tom Stewart. Now, I distinctly remember not choosing a lot of defenders I thought had that potential to be in the top 10. The weeder is the more. The other defender I have is James Sicily. Now, James Sicily definitely doesn't make the cut for me. But the question is, does Tom Stewart remain in the top 10 players in the comp for me? Look, he's been a little bit injured this season. He's had some question marks. When he's played, I thought he's still been really impressive. But all in all, I'll say this season, maybe Tom Stewart doesn't make the top 10 list. In terms of statistics, Harris Andrew right now, at the time of recording, just before round 17 starts, he's leading intercept marks, 61. Second is Liam Jones, which is actually really impressive. He's leading contested marks equal on 36 with Charlie Curnow. Everyone else is pretty much a forward line player, so Harris Andrews is dominating that as well. And if we look at the defensive stat of spoils, he is also in second for spoils with 118. 126, first place belongs to Darcy Moore. Harris Andrews is also one of the most contested defensive one-on-ones, 62. The second most being Jack Buckley with 57. Sam Collins is leading intercept possessions. I have got some names coming in for you. Replacing Tom Stewart this season for me, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, I'm going to go with Nick Vlaston. Nick Vlaston for me has been Richmond's best player. Nick Vlaston for large parts of the season has been the best defender. As of recent, he's not been to the same standard, but I still think over the course of the season, he has been the best sort of medium-sized defender in the competition, and I think that's sort of replacing Stewart, sort of like to like. Replacing James Sicily, look, if Sam Taylor didn't have that injury, the obviously testicular injury, he probably should still be there, to be honest. Harris Andrews has had a good season. We all know how good Alex Pearce has been, but he's also picked up an injury. Others who could replace Vlaston, Luke Ryan's been very good for Fremantle. You could say Scrimshaw, I think, has been really good. Nick Blakey's been great for Sydney. I think the best defensive team this season has probably been the Fremantle Football Club. So it leads me to believe that Alex Pearce should go in. Harris Andrews, I think, has been great, but I don't rate him as much as some of the other key defenders. It's a toss-up. If you ignore the fact that Pearce and Sam Taylor had the injury, I believe it's between them. McGovern's another good shout, but I personally think Sam Taylor is still a top 10 defender. I still think when he's on the pitch, no one's better than him, but Alex Pearce could easily squeeze in here. So that is 7 names down. I've got 3 to go, which are obviously going to be midfielders. In my top 10 at the time, in my preseason prediction, I had Marcus Bontempelli, I had Christian Petrarca, and I had Zach Merritt. Now, this is all whilst predicting the Brownlow top 3 to be Chad Warner 1. Well, actually, let's go the top 5, my Brownlow prediction, which isn't synonymous with this prediction, but my Brownlow prediction, for those who care, Chad Warner was 1, 2 was Sam Walsh or Bont, and 3 was Sam Walsh or Bont. So we'll say 1 Warner, 2 Bont, 3 Sam Walsh, 4 was Tom Green, and 5 was Nick Dacos, or 4 was Nick Dacos, 5 was Tom Green. But that was my top 5. I had no Dacos in this, no Tom Green, no Chad Warner, no Sam Walsh, despite all the predictions of them being the Brownlow. The Bont has to stay in this top 10 list. There is no negotiating that. I don't care what his stats say. The influence he has on games is non-negotiable. There's a couple midfielders that just have to go in. Nick Dacos has to go in. I don't know why I didn't have him on here. I think that was a bit of an agenda. Dacos has been phenomenal this season. Who does Dacos replace for me? I don't know. Probably Petrarca. So that's a change there. Petrarca out, Dacos in, which means I'm left with either keeping Zach Merritt, who has been great this season, has been fantastic, or I replace Zach Merritt with the obvious names of Patrick Cripps, who has been on fire. Chad Warner's been phenomenal as well. You can even list names like Sarong's been really good. Chalor's been really good. I think it's between Cripps and Zach Merritt for me. I think Chad Warner's great, but the quality of Merritt and Cripps, I think, is above. Both are captains, both are leaders, both influence the scoreboard. Who is better? They're very different. Cripps is sort of bullish, contested beast, massive in the contest, but Zach Merritt's more, he's still good in the contest, but it's the kicking skills, the deft touch. It's a very hard distinction to make. I prefer Zach Merritt. I just do as a player. I think the kicking, he is the, if not the best kick of recent years, let alone the best kick this season. He's a phenomenal footballer and has the better football IQ, but Patrick Cripps, I think in a big game, he's more likely to stand up in the contest, getting much needed clearances, contested possessions, hitting scoreboards. I think Merritt is probably a close 11th place, but right now with the form Cripps is in and what he's been doing this season, you would say Patrick Cripps has to go in. Which means the top 10 of my current 2024 AFL players, where I had to pick one player per position at least. Max Gawn is my ruck. My winger is Errol Goulding. Those two stayed the same. If we go to the defensive line, Tom Stewart was out. He was in my prediction, as was James Sicily. They're being replaced by Nick Vlosten and also Sam Taylor. So that's 5 players now. The forward line players, I did have Toby Green, Nick Clarkey, and Charlie Curnow. Toby Green goes out for Isaac Heaney, although he's a bit more of a midfielder, but whatever, we'll put him as a mid forward. Nick Clarkey, although I think he's been okay, he goes out for Jake Waterman. Yes, you would say, what about King? What about Hogan, Danaher? All these players, but Waterman in a poor Eagles side I think has been amazing. And we obviously keep Charlie Curnow. He has been cooking no matter how good his defender is. Sorry, that's only 7. We had 2 defenders, which means 4. So 1 ruck, 1 winger, 2 defenders, 3 forwards / 2 forwards and a forward mid, which means we have 7. So we have 3 left. The midfielders I originally had in my preseason top 10 prediction was Zach Merritt, Christian Petrarca, and Marcus Bontempelli. Marcus Bontempelli stays in. Nick Dacos comes in for either one. Petrarca, you can come in for him. And Zach Merritt, unfortunately, just makes way for Patrick Cripps. But if there's an 11th placed on this list, I think it goes straight to Zach Merritt. What are your thoughts on this list? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Follow the TikTok FTFooty, and I'll be seeing you in another video.